Guys, so for my book talk, I'm going to do it on Heaven is for Real. Disclaimer, this is actually a very spiritual book, but I also felt that it could be a book of encouragement, and that's kind of why it stood out to me. I am a very spiritual person. I do go to church. I have since I was little. I'm very active in my church, so it's kind of meaningful to me. But I chose Heaven is for Real because it is about a 4-year-old boy who goes into surgery, and his parents think he's going to die. And mind you, his dad is a pastor, and he tells his dad that he saw angels and that he left his body and he saw Jesus and all these different kinds of things that happen in heaven. And with his dad being a pastor, he's so surprised because his 4-year-old son was able to meet Jesus. And it was a very meaningful part of the story, actually, in the reading. But it's a very good spiritual book that I found very informing and very personal. So on one of the pages, on page 63, I'm going to read it to you. It says, "In heaven, Dad, there were all the that's where all the rainbow colors are. That set my head spinning. Suddenly I realized that up until that point, I'd been toying with the idea that maybe Colton had some sort of divine visitation. Maybe Jesus and the angels had appeared to him in the hospital." And now the reason why I find this very moving for me is that, my grandma had recently passed away. And, at that point I was sitting with her and I was talking to her and telling her everything was going to be okay, that, we are all here. And I felt like some kind of connection. And when I was reading this book, I was like, wow. Like, I'd reread it, but when I was reading it again, I was like, wow, this is kind of what I felt. So it kind of stood out to me because, God works in mysterious ways. So then on page 84, I found another quote in the chapter Confession, which actually it's only 2 pages, but it's probably the best 2 pages of the book. But he says, "Most importantly of all, I learned that I am heard. We all are. I'd been a Christian since childhood and a pastor for half of my life. So I believed that before, but now I knew it. How, as the nurses wheeled my son screaming, 'Daddy, Daddy, don't let them take me,' when I was angry at God because I couldn't go to my son and hold him and comfort him, God's son was holding my son in his lap." And the reason why that stood out to me is because towards the end of my grandma's her sickness, she actually was in a lot of pain and she was suffering, and it kind of bothered me, actually made me really angry that I really couldn't help her, that no sort of medication or even just the slightest bit of comfort would take her out of that pain that she was feeling. And the whole time she was screaming, "I don't want to do this hurts, please help me, don't let me go." And I kind of felt what the narrator was feeling as a reader because I'd been through that sort of experience. And that is why I think that Heaven is for Real is a very, very good book, a very, very good read for anyone who is not Christian or is Christian. There's still some moving parts in this book that do tell you that some things may seem off and some things may seem hard, but even in the end, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel that, you can make it through anything that you're going through. And so I really encourage everyone to read this.